Ladies and gentlemen, terrible, terrible news. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes away at 87. And this is the Washington Examiner I'm reading. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has passed away at age 87. Ginsburg, who had served on the Supreme Court since 1993, passed away on Friday at her home, surrounded by loved ones from complications relating to her cancer, the Supreme Court said in a statement, quote, "Our nation has lost a justice of historic stature." Chief Justice John Roberts said, quote, "We at the Supreme Court have lost a cherished colleague. Today we mourn, but with confidence that future generations will remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg as we knew her, a tired and resolute champion of justice. In recent years, Ginsburg's battle with her health and a series of illnesses have become subject to scrutiny about her future on the Supreme Court, as President Trump has already had two conservative judges, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, confirmed to the High Court. Most recently, the liberal female icon was briefly hospitalized in New York City's Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in late July and underwent a non-surgical procedure to revise a bile duct stent. She began a course of chemotherapy in May to treat a recurrence of cancer, and that same month she received treatment for a gallbladder infection. The liberal justice was previously treated. Okay, so she's been through a great deal, and this is terrible news. I'm not like the wrong Trump, #wrong Trump people. People on the left are just vile when it comes to, they're really insidious when it comes to anything like, President Trump's brother passed away, and then instead of taking a moment away from the vitriol and venom and their usual apoplectic hysteria, they tried to turn it into this really insulting #wrong Trump. This is something, like, even though I've become very conservative on the Second Amendment, and I want a conservative Supreme Court, because anything the left touches, anything, just turns into one of the patrols in San Francisco looking at human waste, or one of the apps that document the location of human waste in San Francisco. There's actually an app where, like, most or a great percentage of the city blocks are covered in excrement. But anyway, anything the left touches, always, you talk about censorship on social media platforms. You talk about a whole bunch of things. They want to do away with the Second Amendment. They want to curtail and revise the First Amendment in their own image. I would much rather have a conservative Supreme Court deciding what's constitutional and what isn't constitutional. Amy Coney Barrett, ladies and gentlemen, will be President Trump's pick, almost certainly. The Democratic Party, the left, media cannot try to denigrate her or try to, ruin or disparage her in the same manner they tried with Kavanaugh. Notice how nobody talks about Tara Reade and her allegations, which is literally, she alleges that Biden, who will eventually be replaced by Madam Secretary, you watch, and this is only confirmation. Democrats, the future of the Democratic Party is at stake this election. They're not going to go with Tales from the Crypt, who doesn't know where he is half the time, who's lost his marbles completely. The polls are absolute nonsense. NPR quoted me in 2016. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I now have President Trump, who's doing everything I wanted Bernie Sanders to do. Read my Federalist article, How You Go from Bernie to Trump. I am a Trump supporter because, we just had peace deals between Israel and the UAE, Serbia and Kosovo, Israel and Bahrain, and then he was the first president to step foot in North Korea, begin détente between North and South Korea. He's bringing home Americans from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. He's removing American soldiers from Iraq. He's ended the longest-running military conflict, our war in Afghanistan. So you look at he ended a covert operation funding rebels, which was basically a regime change to remove Assad. And so, President Obama gets a Nobel Peace Prize for just, destroying Libya. And President Trump doesn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. But anyway, this is really interesting. You have you have, ladies and gentlemen, reporter Joe Concha. Get to know this name and her story now because you'll be hearing a ton about her the next 7 weeks. Amy Coney Barrett, who will almost undoubtedly be President Trump's choice to fill the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg seat. I'm not sure about the protocol or if Mitch McConnell can get Amy Coney Barrett, but hopefully then we get a hypocrite. Mitch McConnell is trying to. So they prevented President Obama's Supreme Court pick, and now of course they're going to go ahead with it. They're going to go ahead and try to and try to ensure that Amy Coney Barrett replaces Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The Democrats, what they did is they could have had Supreme Court picks only with a 60-vote supermajority, but they, Harry Reid, worked tirelessly to ensure it was just a simple majority. Now, Amy Coney Barrett is going to be almost certainly is going to be the pick by President Trump. He will have 3 Supreme Court nominees, or three Supreme Court picks. The Supreme Court now is going to be what? It's already 5-4. Then it'll be 6-3. Thank God. You don't want. This is the thing. You look at the censorship taking place on social media platforms, and it only goes one way. They're always with Trump or anyone, espousing or advocating or trying to convey a. Basically, you don't want Democrats, especially the left, especially this media, this hysterical, apoplectic, seething, fuming media Democratic Party. Corrupt intelligence apparatus. I mean, there have been people being accused of working with Russia, it's not the Constitution. The Bill of Rights protects people from this, from 4 years of a Mueller probe. The Constitution should have protected, or the Bill of Rights should have protected people. That's a whole other story. You can't just accuse journalists. You can't just go ahead and you see what happened with Nicholas Sandmann. I might not be pinpointing specific Supreme Court issues, but you're going to have free speech issues, especially when the left puts a lid on any type of communication that doesn't fall in within their paradigm of what's moral or just or appropriate speech. You're going to have future Supreme Court cases where speech is curtailed, either by social media companies or by universities. And you have this paradigm of thought on the left that says, well, anything that goes against our narrative is either a Russian plot or a far-right endeavor. I'm just talking about the First Amendment. The Second Amendment they want to do away with. And you look at just the way democratic cities have been run. Look at the gleeful lockdowns, and just a court ruled against Wolf in Pennsylvania, saying that his lockdowns were unconstitutional. I forgot exactly what the court issued. But anyway, you want Amy Coney Barrett there. Democrats would, at the same time, defund police and try to erase the Second Amendment. You can't have that. You can't do that. If you're nobody really knows who I am, but even I received a death threat, and so I protected myself and my family with the Second Amendment. You embrace the Second Amendment, especially if you live in places like Portland and Seattle, and Chicago, and New York. These places are very difficult. At least Chicago, New York, to protect yourself with the Second Amendment. But it's like, you want to defund police? Well, then who's going to protect you from violent criminals? How does that work? And if you're on the left on YouTube, why weren't you in Portland and Seattle? It was very peaceful. why didn't all the wonderful left-leaning YouTubers go to the autonomous zone in Seattle and hang out and do live streams? Oh, that's right. Because they're hypocrites. And then you say the same hypocrites in Hollywood who have security details, but they don't want the normal average American to just be able to protect him or herself. Then they say when there's a tragedy, oh my God, the NRA. But if there's a person that actually goes after law enforcement, you can't correlate that action with any movement or theory or ideology. If you do, that's horrible. But you definitely can blame the NRA if some madman does something. They're complete hypocrites. Oh, you must. My God, if you don't, they want mandatory vaccines. Okay. They want mandatory vaccines in certain areas of the country, but they don't trust President Trump's vaccine. So they become anti-vaxxers when it's Trump. They don't believe women when it's Tara Reade and Biden. They don't care about Russian interference when they purchase a Steele dossier. They're the biggest hypocrites of all time. And so you don't want... It's going to be very interesting to see what takes place. Again, I might not have been focusing directly on specific Supreme Court issues, but you're going to see the issue of free speech and censorship, those types of issues, and tech platforms hit the Supreme Court eventually. You don't want liberal judges, because liberal Supreme Court judges will just side with censorship. And that's a fact. They'll just side with... They will try their best to erase or redefine the First and Second Amendment in their own image, or in the prevailing image of today's liberal intelligentsia. And you have people, and this is what I don't understand, you have people like Howard Stern, who would have been canceled immediately. I mean, forget about like the great comedians like Sam Kinison or Lenny Bruce. I mean, these people would have been canceled by today's culture. But you have people like Howard Stern, who is like, oh, I don't like Trump. He doesn't like Trump. But most of his life, he would have been canceled, or he would have been like, the left today and media today would have tried to erase his voice and would have been successful too. So he's lucky he didn't start his show and his radio show in this day and age. But then he doesn't like Trump, but Trump stands for free speech. He doesn't care who he offends. And most of the time when Trump says something, they magnify it and amplify it and sensationalize everything. President Trump pretty much has said the same things that Chuck Schumer and Hillary Clinton, who said worse. Who will be on that ballot? You watch, especially if you think they're going to go with Biden, with their entire, the future of the Democratic Party, the future of liberal ideology, the future of the left is this election. You have potentially 3 Supreme Court picks. So it would be 6-3. It's now 5-4. It'll be 6-3. So they can try to expand the court. It's not going to pass. President Trump's going to win re-election anyway. So he'll prevent that. And then the Senate, hopefully the Senate remains Republican. But I don't know. See, Mitch McConnell blocked Merrick Garland. Yeah, because he ran the Senate. These people aren't really these are the geniuses. The intellect's not seen since Einstein or Galileo. He prevented Merrick Garland because the Republicans held the Senate. Genius. The Republicans hold the Senate now. You think they care about being hypocrites? You can't find bigger hypocrites than the Democratic Party. Just ask Tara Reade. Or just ask anyone who's accused, the Minneapolis Attorney General, Assistant U.S. Attorney General in Virginia. We can go on forever. This is going to be very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And it's an unfortunate day. I'm not happy at all. God bless, her family and people who cared about her. And I know it's a tough day for people, and I mean this. And she was, even though, I disagree. Well, I didn't really disagree with her up until past 2 years. since I realize what the left is all about. But she was a great Supreme Court justice. So she was, I mean, it's a terrible tragedy today with her passing, but give me your thoughts below. It's going to be very interesting. Amy Coney Barrett is going to be very difficult to defeat for the left. Very difficult to defeat. Very difficult to defeat. And you need a Supreme Court who prevents or who can protect the liberties of American citizens from this maniacal, hysterical, apoplectic mentality on the left, where words equal violence, and actual violence is okay because, people are writing books on in defense of looting, but then they say, oh gosh, you can't pin it on us. They're all over the place. Give me your thoughts below. Amy Coney Barrett, almost certainly. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you very much. Be here at 9 p.m. Pacific, or actually I might start a little later, 9:30 p.m. Pacific. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below, people. Thank you. My God. Give me your thoughts below. They're going to replace Biden eventually. They're not going to roll the dice with the future of the Democratic Party for a generation with Tales from the Crypt. And it could be just a meeting. Tom Perez says, gosh, Biden does worse among black and Latino voters. President Trump's going 8 years regardless. So be here in November. Democrats are done. And they were done long before what took place today. Give me your thoughts. Thank you.